Tony, I'm sure you would have wanted that game to go a little bit better than it did early on, but how good was it for the team to kind of have one like that in league play?
It was great. I mean, every team out there is trying to add to their Rolodex of situations they've been in and situations they have success at, of course, too. But you're going to learn some lessons whether you win or lose, and I think we learned some tonight. We got better because, A, we just got to play. I mean, the weather kind of made you think, like, what's going to happen here. But we got to play ball. It was definitely a game where if you're not hooked up for all 9 innings, you're going to get punched in the mouth. And, you know, it could have went for either team. You guys were there seeing the whole thing. So, again, we were able to learn some lessons and yet still win the game. But, you know, I think having some guys in some situations individually that they hadn't been in yet, and then our team being in some situations that we haven't been in recently was definitely a positive to take away.
What were some of the good lessons that you saw from the guys and just the way that they kind of handled themselves and responded throughout the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben Joyce kind of coming in earlier, our starter not going into the 6th or 7th or 8th for the first time in a while. Those stick out. Mark McLaughlin kind of came in a different spot that he's been in most situations, in particular in SEC games. And then Booker, you know, gets that hand injury and just kind of throws our plans out of whack for who he is and what he can be for this team. So I even would throw it to the offensive side that we were able to kind of do a couple different things there.
How about Christian Scott? What have you learned from him? Past 2 SEC stars seems to really spark on Sunday and then spark that 7th inning tonight.
Yeah, I mean, his first at-bat was about as annoying, if you're, you know, throwing to him, about annoying of an at-bat or as pesky of an at-bat as you can put together. And then he gets on base with it. So he's been incredibly valuable for us ever since he stepped foot on the campus in a lot of different ways. And it's maybe not as talked about as much as Will Mabry kind of seems to be the guy, the development conversation piece. And then Trey Lipscomb, of course, is a guy who redshirted and has kind of bided his time, although I think COVID kind of got him a little bit as far as playing time goes. Christian Scott has gotten better in a ton of different areas since he's been here. And the number one area is just more mature as a kid and a ball player and a teammate, and he's a joy to be around. So I like when he gets to get out there in the lineup. You know, good or bad, he's got a lot of teammates that are quality players too. So we'll hand the baton off at some point to somebody else, and then he'll get it right back.
How rewarding is it to see someone like him who stayed in a lot of competition instead of transferring somewhere else, kind of had the success he's having?
I love it because I like the kid, but then if you're trying to hang your hat on, you know, something as far as when you come to work, guys have to like where they're at in order to stay when it's not going so good. I mean, anyone who's hitting 450 or has 7 saves or something like that probably is enjoying their baseball collegiate experience, you know. But for other guys that are asked to pinch run or come in and bunt or come in and play defense in the 9th inning, it's pretty easy to go home and gripe to your buddy or your girlfriend or whatever it might be and say, maybe the grass is greener on the other side. And I think these kids are all learning a valuable lesson that, you know, to have a good team, it takes a bunch of guys to fill a bunch of different roles. But the only way they're going to buy into that role is, I think, if they really enjoy their work environment. And I think he's one of those guys.
Tony, with Chase, was it just a feel issue a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit, just kind of seeing it. I mean, you know, he said he felt great to Coach Anderson in the bullpen and just a little bit of a feel thing. You know, I've had the good fortune of being around some big league pitchers, and I bet I can give you 5 right now real quick in my head that they didn't get out of the first inning. So there's a lot of repetitions over the course of a season, and if that ends up being his worst night, which there's a decent chance it was as a pitcher, that's a pretty good worst night. I mean, you could tell they were fired up to face him. They certainly, as you saw, for 9 innings, put together some quality at-bats. On top of that, they got capable athletes. It was kind of a nasty night. I mean, you could turn that to either side, whether it's a pro or con, but just a feel thing. And if that's his worst outing of the year, great. And if not, then we'll expect him to battle through those circumstances because now he's kind of seen what it looks like.
You haven't had a call in your bullpen this earlier, used this many guys in a game. Really, what did you like about what you saw from those guys, and how important is it to have like a 7-inning stretch there where everyone comes in and does their job? Yeah,
you know, you did. You liked everything about it, and the guy did a really good job against Camden. But overall, you'd like to think that he contributed and kind of filled his piece there too. The only thing that gives you a sour taste at it, if you're going to go sit up in the coaching staff offices, is that was such a quirky deal. They made 2 switches. You know, you're not really set up to use your closer there. Kirby's our only guy left other than our closer. And Blade is probably, for all intents and purposes, done for the weekend after we use him tonight, at least in my opinion. He's going to maybe hear that and fight me about getting back out there. We'll see. But it was a tough one. And obviously, I tell you guys this all the time. If it works out, it was the right decision. And if it doesn't, it wasn't. So I think I made one wrong decision there, or could have done something differently. But we kind of got to where we were at the end of the rope there with how many guys we got left. But old Cordy Lawson and Trey Lipscomb, they used to be pitchers. Those guys probably think they can go get 3 outs out there.
Hey, Coach, friendly conversation with Blue earlier in the game there. What was the thought process going through your head when Zoo throws the ball into the dugout?
Yeah, just, you know, the fact that the catcher made a good block, if I remember that part correctly, picked it up and threw it in the dugout. And what we saw and what we heard was time and you know, hands go up for other umpires after the ball was already thrown. And the appropriate order would be to get time and then you discard the ball. But at the same time, we're looking at what we're looking at. I can't see the whole field, and we're not on the field, so maybe there was a conversation there that was different. But it was all about whether time was called after or before. And so that was our argument. And then, you know, I come back to the dugout and everyone's yelling, have them review it. Well, I don't even know if it's reviewable. It turns out it's not. So when they did all that, they were just trying to make sure they got it right and fulfilled our request, which I appreciate, but it's not a reviewable play. We should have drove the guy in on our own doing and should have done some other things better early in the game anyway.
Tony,
Couple more.
You guys haven't trailed in a game since Rhode Island and haven't trailed for a full inning since Texas. Just what was kind of the attitude throughout that game, and what was your message to the guys to, you know, when you guys were down 2?
Yeah, I don't think that was much of an issue. It was weird the first 3 or 4 innings, and maybe it was because we needed to throw more strikes. There just wasn't a rhythm or a tempo there. And we were making some quick outs. I mean, Miles he threw pretty well against us last year too, and now he's a year older and you could see more developed. So there wasn't a real flow to the game, and there certainly, if there was one, it wasn't going in our direction. But I didn't sense any panic or stress or anything like that. Again, if our guys learned something tonight, one thing should be 9 innings is a long time. So you need to be ready to go out of the gate better than we were, and you also got to finish, you know, as strong as possible.
What's going through your mind when Trey hits his shot and it's being reviewed in the 5th? And then how would you rate his performance today?
Yeah, when that deal's going on, Trey comes in the dugout and the guys are all hooting and hollering, but I just wanted to let him know, really anytime there's going to be a replay is hang out and see what they say. You know, we had 5 cameras tonight, so you got a bunch of different angles, but there's times where you may know, I mean, Coach Kivett was the master of this. I'll go ahead and throw him under the bus. You may have saw what you saw, but these guys got to make full-speed judgment calls, you know, on the fly, and then, you know, the review is there to, you know, try and get certain situations right, but maybe the camera doesn't have it, or maybe it's not clear-cut, so the rule is appropriate to go with what the umpires say. So at the end of the day, we don't have control over any aspect of that, so the best thing to do is hang out and ask what your assignment is, or listen to what your assignment is, and then go do it.
How would you rate Trey's performance?
Yeah, sorry about that. You know, I thought we needed a spark from somebody, and Seth Stevenson's kind of been that guy. Christian Scott's been that guy. I feel like Ben Joyce is that guy when he gets on the mound. And Trey is, you know, kind of been our guy that's been explosive in a lot of different situations. But I think that's kind of his best moment of the year as far as being that spark plug. And you can't ask a guy to go hit a home run, but I don't think he liked his first at-bat. He didn't like how the score was, and he was determined to do something about it, so we got the good result. And I think after that, you know, he, like our team, maybe didn't have a great start to the game, but I thought he was very polished the rest of the game. Thank you.